closes at 8 in the evening. Well, you can take pictures everywhere. Once in the interior, the only things that is not allowed, well, the only things that are not allowed is wearing sunglasses unless you need them under medical prescription, or wearing hats or caps. Okay. First of all, we are going to pass through the security check. It's similar to the one at the airport, but it's not necessary to show any ID or any passport to the guards.
Yes.
We leave our belongings in the tray. Empty pockets, belts off, watches off, sunglasses, caps, all the electronic devices in the tray, bags, etc. And after the security check, I'm sure that you have seen the reinforced concrete wall.
Yes.
In the future, the main entrance will be there, the glorification facade. But what happens now? As you may see, we don't have enough room to continue the works just in front. First of all, you see the wall of reinforced concrete, 8 columns with iron and concrete. The sidewalk, the columns are situated on the legal limit of the street. Then you see the sidewalk, the Mallorca Street, and the block of apartments there. In the 60s, in the 70s, nobody believed that the Sagrada Familia will be completed. And although Antonio Gaudí left the whole project thanks to plaster models, except for some details we're going to talk later on, the mayor of this city gave the work permit to build the apartments there. So really, the block is illegal. The building should be pulled down. No worries for the neighbors, because some years ago there was a trial, a judgment just between the neighbors living there and the non-profit foundation controlling the works. And the non-profit foundation bought the land crossing the Marina Street. Crossing this street, on the right side, there is the plot with an ancient factory. So nowadays, the whole plot belongs to La Sagrada Familia. And La Sagrada Familia offered to the neighbors that plot to build new apartments. The neighbors say, no, we want to stay there. Really, the perspective from there is much better. No more conversations between the non-profit foundation and the neighbors anymore. Is the most visited monument in Spain, with 5 million visitors a year. Well, really 4.8 million visitors a year. So if you multiply the number of visitors by the price of the ticket, you realize that money, the funding, is not a problem. As you have seen from the street, the most important issue against the end of the total project is that we don't have enough room to continue. Well, maybe you wondered about the origins of this amazing project. Really, this project, the idea of the building, the idea of the construction of the church, defending the family values, came from a bookseller, a very religious man, José María Bocabella, was a bookseller in the city, and he founded the Association of Devotees of Saint Joseph. That's why the first stone here was laid on the 19th March 1882. Well, that association was a village situated in the outskirts of the city of Barcelona. In the first years of the 20th century, all those villages joined the city of Barcelona, the present day different neighborhoods. Well, the price here were cheaper, and thanks to donations, little by little, they start the work here. The first architect, before Antonio Gaudí joined the project, took over the project in 1883, was Francisco Paula de Villar. Antonio Gaudí used to work for him. So, the first architect designed a little neo-Gothic church, nothing to do with this present-day basilica. And after 1 year working here, the first architect resigned. It seems that association of devotees of Saint Joseph couldn't afford the costs, the money, the prices of the materials needed by the first architect. And after the resignation of the first architect, the association offered to Antonio Gaudí the project. For Antonio Gaudí, that project was a dream. And he dedicated 43 years of his life to this project, but he only saw the 15%, one part. He only saw the nativity facade and the tower on the left side dedicated to San Barnabas. Nowadays we have the 75%. Antonio Gaudí left the whole project thanks to plaster models. Why? Because he was an architect. He knew how to work with sketches, drawings. Why plaster models? Because paper was a limit for him. Paper offered to him just 2 dimensions, and he always thought in the third dimension. But at the beginning of the 20th century, coming to the city, and once here, you find a net in order to visit the Sagrada Familia. Not nice, huh? Well, it is only the model. You can see the project by Antonio Gaudí. As you may see, Antonio Gaudí designed 3 facades. Facing east, the nativity facade representing the birth of the day, the rising sun, the birth of Jesus Christ. On the other side of the building, facing west, the passion facade representing the death of the day, the sunset, the death of Jesus Christ. And facing south, the future main entrance facing south. On each facade, 4 towers. In total, 12. The 12 apostles. On the arc, facing north, you see the tower crowned by the star dedicated to the Virgin Mary that was inaugurated 4 years ago. And you see on the crossing the tallest tower dedicated to Jesus Christ, surrounded by the 4 towers representing the evangelists that were inaugurated 3 years ago. You see 2 different colors. In yellow color, you see the sections still missing, and in gray color, you see the sections already done. On the right side, you see a soldier with a new leg, bionic. What happened? So, some years ago, the leg fell down. That soldier is representing the massacre, the slaughter of the innocents. And just in front, you see the flight to Egypt, St. Joseph just behind, the Virgin Mary with her baby, an angel, and one level up, you see on the scene representing Jesus as a child showing to his father an injured dog, Peter. Left and right, the grandparents, Saint Anne, and Saint Joachim. Well, Antonio Gaudí designed this facade, the nativity facade, to be multicolored in 3 different colors. This door on the left side representing the flight to Egypt in green color, reminding you of the river Nile. That's why on the door you recognize canes and lilies, the vegetation you can find on the banks of the river Nile. And you can see the turtle at the bottom of the palm tree. The turtle with the flippers. This turtle is facing the Mediterranean Sea. That's why you see the flippers. It's a turtle. And at the bottom of the second palm tree, there is a tortoise at the bottom, from left to right. Something regarding to Christmas carol. I'm sure that you remember the song of birds. It's a song dedicated to the birth of Jesus Christ. That's why you see at the bottom the bird everywhere. Well, back to the central door. You see on the nativity, above the nativity scene, you see a children's choir, but relatively new, from the 80s. What happened? Really, the works here only stopped twice, due of the Spanish Civil War and due of the pandemic. And along the Spanish Civil War, we can know both are looking at wars. The next scene is representing Jesus in the temple. So Jesus Christ was lost along 3 days, and when the parents found him, he was sitting down in the temple answering the questions from the priests. You see the Christ, Sagrada on the right, and St. John on the left side. So Antonio Gaudí designed these doors in brown, sienna color, it's golden. And you see the door representing roses, because this door, single door, leads at the exterior of La Sagrada Familia to the Chapel of the Rosary. Well, ready for the interior? Or, well, do you have any questions so far?
No.
little animals, lizards. You see the ant, the back of the ant in gold now, because everybody touches. You see the snail, caterpillars, spiders, ants, beautiful doors. And now, I'm sure Well, we celebrate twice, for St. Valentine's and for St. George Day. And there is model, you see the ground plan, like a cross, Latin cross. The head of the cross is facing north, the crypt underneath the altar. The only section here facing east is the nativity facade. The arms of the cross, the two facades, nativity and passion. And the fifth, the future main entrance. Now you remember the image. It's a picture in gold. This door is representing the prayer Our Father in 52 different languages. The central language is Catalan, one of the two official languages here. And here you can see two golden letters. The vault there in brick. At the end of the 19th, early 20th century, architects discovered that brick was perfect, the perfect material, cheaper than other materials and much more resistant. There you see a triangle in gold leaf representing the concept of Trinity, God Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. All the dimensions here can be divided by 7.5. We don't know why Antonio Gaudí used that special measure model. Some people said that he got that number divided by the left central line, 90 meters long, 300 feet by 12. Maybe the 12th room for 900 figures.
Yes.
The other choir, the choir behind the altar. Well, can you see the benches up there?
Yeah.
From the Catalan language, but it's right down with a final C. And Missy, Lucas, look. Look in Catalan language with a double L at the beginning of the word. And then we're going down the ramp. Well, here there is the representation of the Last Supper. When you find Jesus Christ is just in the middle, facing to the spectators. From Jesus Christ, his side or his back. That Romans gave to him to betrayal Jesus Christ. That's why you see the symbol of the dog. The dog. After the Last Supper, the betrayal Jesus Christ. Romans had an idea about how Jesus Christ looks like. So for Romans, the code, the password, was the kissing and the betrayal is represented by the snake. You have seen the dog, the snake, the betrayal. And also you see another Sudoku. It's a combination of numbers adding up the same number, 33, the Jesus age when he died. So any row, any column adds 33. For example, the first line on top, 1 plus 14 plus 14 plus 4, 33, the Jesus age. And then the flagellation. The flagellation of Jesus Christ. You see Jesus Christ tied to the column. This is the only figure in marble from Italy, travertine. And you see how the sculptor usually works from a solid block of stone. You see the cane for the flagellation and 3 steps representing the 3 days that Jesus Christ took to resurrect. And after the flagellation, the denials of St. Peter. You see St. Peter and also the roster at the wall. Okay? St. Peter denied 3 times Jesus Christ before the roster sang. And you see Pilate. But you can compare this Pilate with the thinker of Augustus Rodin. And also just behind you see the pillar crowned by the eagle representing the Roman Empire. So the second level goes from right to left. We are going down the ramp to see better all this, but from here you see
ciao, 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 bel partigiano, portami via,
guys,
che mi
now
sento
at the biggest
di
cathedral
morire. E se io muoio da partigiano, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. E se io muoio da partigiano, tu mi devi seppellire.
Cathedral in Barcelona, so big. Come here to experience yourself here.
To break up into little pieces, porcelain, ceramic, floor tiles. But the great innovation by Antonio is that together with those expensive materials, he used broken plates, cups, coffee cups, broken bottles of champagne. On top, they are using all those materials, and they are pieces in transparent glass, Murano glass, and just behind the transparent pieces, they use gold leaf. That's why you see the this is the Veronica, the woman who gave her veil to Jesus Christ. The face of Jesus Christ was printed in her veil, like a negative picture. Then you see soldiers with helmets, strange helmets, maybe reminding you of Star Wars, peaceful helmets. With the chimneys and the singular design on the rooftop of the Villa house. If you go to the boulevard, the avenue for Sagrada, the top of that building, you're going to see the chimneys. And the top of the chimney, and the top of the chimneys are is there. You see the profile of
Guys, I just finished touring the cathedral in Barcelona. It was a nice experience. And as you can see, a lot of people outside. It's a big place to come and experience. Very big, guys. Now going back to my hotel. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, tell us what you think about it. Okay, see you guys.
Questa mattina